Hello, scrappers. Got kind of an unusual piece of equipment up on the autopsy table today. Unusual for me anyway. I normally do computers, telecom equipment, whatnot. Got a Beckman DU-64 UV Vis Spectrophotometer up here on the autopsy table. And there's a story behind this piece of equipment. This used to belong to a company I used to work for, one of my former employers. And they called me up a week or two ago and said, "Hey Mike, do you want our old spectrophotometer?" And I'm like, "You still have that old hunk of junk?" And they said, "Yeah, we haven't used it in quite a while. It's in storage. We just want to get rid of it." So I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll take it." Thinking, well, it's probably got some interesting electronics in it. It's probably contains some gold. But this also probably has some precision mechanical components in it, which I might be able to use in some of my other hobbies. So I thought, yeah, this should be a really interesting teardown. But first, I looked to make sure that I couldn't make a lot of money reselling it. First off, I ran it through its paces once I got it. It completes some of its power on self-tests, but not all. It does not complete its auto calibration when it starts up. Now that may just be a problem where it needs a new visible lamp. That may fix it. But then I looked up whether these things are selling or not, and they are not selling. There's a fair number of them for sale. Nobody's buying them. They're buying the DU-640s and later models, but nobody wants this thing. And I can understand, because it's old. This thing was old when I started working for the company 26, 27, 28 years ago. I have to think about that because I've been retired for a few years now. And this thing was old when I started with them. I always have to add the amount of time I'm retired to how long I worked for them. Tough arithmetic in the head. Anyway, this was old when I started working for them. And it's also sort of like the stripped down low-end basic model. It doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that a lot of people want. So as far as I can tell, it's just scrap. So I'm going to scrap it out. I'm going to see what's inside it. It should be interesting. Alright, let's take a little tour of this thing. It's got a membrane keyboard up here. And a little LCD screen. It's got some sort of computer system in it. I suspect it's pretty old. Probably late 80s vintage at the newest, I would suspect. It's got a couple of expansion ports over here on the side. Yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expansion ports, it looks like. But of course, all we ever had was a printer attachment to it, because this was a low-end model. There used to be a dot matrix printer on a little stand that sat up on top of this thing, and I remember it banging away printing out the results. But the dot matrix printer got thrown out, I guess, at some point. Let's see, what else have we got here? We've got over here, in this compartment here, is where the sample went. A cuvette would go into this little sample holder here, and we could measure the absolute and the percent transmission in various frequencies of light, from visible all the way into the UV. And like I said, this is a low-end stripped-down model, basically, so a lot of the higher-end ones would have multiple sample holders that could move back and forth in front of the detector, source and detector unit. And it would have a pump out here for constant temperature regulation to keep the samples at a constant temperature. Of course, we didn't have any of that stuff, so like I said, low-end model. Let's see what else. Back here are where the lamps are housed. Really easy to get into, fortunately, because many times I had to replace this visible lamp. We did all of our testing with just the visible lamp, which is just a quartz halogen lamp. And pull that out real quick and give you a look at it. That's all it is, just a quartz halogen lamp. That's the visual light source for it. But more interestingly, back here, the UV light source is a deuterium lamp down here. Now this may actually be worth some money. This may be the most valuable part of this entire thing, unless I find some sort of rare electronics in here. But this may be the most valuable part of the entire machine. And it probably in about pristine condition, because all of our measurements for all of the reagents we measured in this thing were visual. So I don't know that the deuterium light source has ever even been turned on. So I'm not going to mess with that right now. I will take that out later. I'll put on gloves just so I don't get my body oils on it, and take it out. And that may be worth trying to resell. So I certainly don't have a use for it. Not that I can think of anyway for a UV deuterium light source. Okay, so let's finish the walk around. It's got a couple ports, which I think expansion modules plugged into. But of course, since we got the basic model, we didn't have any of these expansion modules. There's a memory pack module and a soft pack module, whatever that is. So we've already seen this side, just got the expansion ports on it. The back, really nothing to see. Usual warning labels, power plug connector, a couple of fuse holders. On this side, nothing but a fan inlet for cooling. All right, it's a little more interesting on the bottom. Let me show you the bottom. Okay, the bottom looks to be just one big injection molded piece of plastic, some sort of very dense and hard plastic. But it's got this metal grill up here on top, and behind the grill, I don't know if it's showing up, there's belts and pulleys here, belts and pulleys here. So obviously we're getting into some of the mechanical stuff that I'm interested in. And I think I will start the disassembly of this unit by taking this metal grill off, and we'll see what's behind it. So let me get the camera up on the tripod, and we'll get this disassembly underway. All right, here we go. Let's get this panel off and see what we got behind. This looks like some sort of a grounding strap here. A few more screws holding it on apparently. Yeah. That only goes a few degrees and I hear a clack, clack, clack at either end of travel. I imagine that's probably a mirror or a prism. That may be for selecting which light source is used. I would imagine. We'll have to see when we get further in. This over here, I really don't know what it is. It doesn't seem to want to move, whatever it is. Looks like it only has a certain amount of travel too. Strange looking. Alright, that's all for the bottom for now. Let me swap it around. Let me set it back down, and we'll start taking other stuff off. Okay, some stuff's going to come off pretty easy. This door over the sample holder comes off. I'll take the lamp door off. Let me get some gloves on, and then we'll see about getting this deuterium light source out of here. Which, I have to admit, even though all the times I've calibrated this machine and replaced the other lamp, I have never messed with this. Okay, how is it? Ah, there's a plug. Good. I was hoping there was an easy way to disconnect it. Yes. All right. So, that's the deuterium lamp. Produces UV light. Looks like throughout that aperture right there. So this may be the actual money piece in here, because these do sell for a good amount of money, and as far as I can tell, they've never been used. Alright, let me set this aside someplace where I can keep it clean, and then we'll come back to the disassembly. Okay, let me get this visible light source out of here. And this was just a, this one does not have nice plug on it. This is just a quartz halogen lamp. You're supposed to handle it with gloves too, but I'm not too worried about it. That aside. Okay. Let's see about getting this case off now and getting a look underneath. Well, wait a minute. Here's another thing that comes off. This is some sort of electronic pass-through. Probably. It's got gold pins in there and gold pins on there. That's nice. This was probably, I don't know exactly what it was for. Something on the higher end models with more bells and whistles than what we had. Maybe for moving the multiple sample holders. I don't know. But that's nice. That's a bonus. It's got gold pins already. Haven't even got into this thing. Let's see if I can get the case off. Okay. Any screws on the back? No, there do not appear to be screws on the back. So, is this thing just gonna lift off? It might. Holy moly, that was easy. Oh, that's a heavy plastic case. Oh, another big piece of injection molded plastic. That's going into recycling. Okay, what we have here is an early version, it looks like, of an IBM PC clone computer. I will take the camera off the tripod and I will show you some of what I'm seeing here. But this is obviously a PC clone. Very early PC clone. This is a pretty old piece of equipment. And here's the rest of the board. It also continues underneath the membrane keyboard. There's more of it down there. So it looks like we've got some ROM chips. Or EPROMs. Maybe a ROM. And I don't know what this chip over here is. Wow, we got an 8085. Holy cow. That's interesting. So, interesting. Okay. Let me put the camera back up on the tripod. And we'll continue the disassembly. This is getting kind of interesting. I love old technology. Let's see how I get this membrane keyboard off of here. Looks like maybe it's just held on. Is it just held on with this connector down here? Maybe. Yes. Ooh! Wow. Yeah, gold pins in there. Lots of nice gold pins here. So that's nice. That's the LCD PC board there. Nice membrane keyboard. I don't think I can use it for anything though. I want those gold pins. I think there's a little gold plating on this LCD keyboard too. And let me see here. Yes, look at that. Gold pins in there too. Alright, nice. Alright, older equipment. They use lots of gold. I like that. Let me see if I can get this off. This is some heavy aluminum. There's a lot of heavy aluminum plate in here too, which is nice. I need to make a run to the scrap yard and get rid of some of the aluminum I've got piled up, but I wouldn't mind adding a little bit more to it before I go. There we go. Yeah. Big heavy chunk of aluminum there. So here's the rest of the PC board. It looks like there's like there's a mezzanine card here plugged in here, and this is probably a PC bus down here that these expansion cards would have plugged into, like the parallel port card. Let me pull it out. Have a look at it. Probably, yeah, that's a little odd looking, but I'll bet. And of course, gold. All right, good. Set this aside. So, it's an interesting motherboard. I'm not sure what that chip is. That's a big LSI chip of some kind. Alright, so I imagine this is probably power connector here. I'm not sure what this one is. It's got a fair number of pins on it. Probably power too, different voltage. And let's see, we got connectors here for the expansion cards, and I see gold in them. This connector here out. And look in here and see if the pins are... No, the pins are not gold. Okay. So, it looks like... How do I get this board out? Wow, that was easy. Not double-sided, yes, but there's the connector. Gold pins, of course. Nice. So there's the whole CPU board right there. Got some more gold fingers up here connected to... Well, this is interesting. Power supply over here. So I imagine that these are actually power connectors here. So I don't know what all these other connectors were for. You know what I'll bet they're for? They might be for driving motors. I'll bet they might be for driving motors, yeah. So that's nice. I will have to peel off... Well, I'll do it right now. Oh, yes. If your EPROMs are old enough, there's gold in them. This one doesn't want to come off. No, that one's not an EPROM. That's probably a PROM. But this one's an EPROM. If I can get a little bit more, I may need a... There it goes. Oh yeah. Let me see if I can get that to where you can see it. Can you see the gold in there? There's gold brazing holding the chips in those EPROMs. I love it. That's a lot of gold actually in these old EPROMs. So that's nice. As far as I can tell, they are not gold bond wires. They look like maybe aluminum or possibly silver, but there's a lot of gold there. And someday I will do, I have to do a video on how I get the gold out of these ceramic EPROM chips and other ceramic chips, because the chips, when they're ceramic, especially if they're old, they usually contain gold. Okay, so I'm going to set this motherboard aside. Okay, let's see what else I can get off of this before I have to stop for the day and go take care of some errands. This power supply on the back is kind of intriguing. That's a serious old school linear power supply there. Very neat. You don't see that much anymore. A nice big aluminum heat sink here. I see gold pins here, here, and a connector with gold pins on this side, so this is nice. And it looks like this is going to come out about as easy as the motherboard did. It looks like it's got one screw, hold it in right there, captive screw, and then it just plugs into sockets. I think I... Whoops. Okay, well that popped right off. I don't see anything else holding it. Oh, I see it right here. There we go. There we go. Okay. Got gold fingers here, double-sided. Got the gold pin connector that connected to the motherboard right there. And got this big old aluminum heat sink. Looks like we got a big old power transistor here. I'm not sure what these two are. Maybe regulators, or maybe transistors with strange numbers I don't recognize. This looks like a regulator. Looks like regulators. Got some bridge rectifiers down here. Lots of electrolytic capacitors, fuses. Oh well, all I really want off this board are the gold fingers and the aluminum heatsink. Everything else is really just scrap to me. Set this aside. So what else do we got? We got a board down here with gold fingers on it and lots of spade connectors. looks like this is the main AC power board right here. AC came in. It's like we got a filter, fuses, circuit breaker, maybe? That might be circuit breaker. I don't know. Getting that out is going to be a little tricky. I'll have to get my shorty screwdriver, which I don't have out here right now. You look at this over here. Big old transformer. I don't know, really tall electrolytic capacitors, maybe. Another fuse holder. This might be a little easier to get out with the tools I have on the table right now. Let me try this. This off. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. That actually... Huh. That's a little weird. I don't think I can get down there. Now we're getting into the stuff that's a little more difficult to get apart. Let's see, is the screwdriver long enough to reach that? Yeah. Go. Pull that off. I've got a few gold pins there, not much. A lot of transistors, a few IC chips socketed. That's nice. I'll pull those out and throw them in with the rest of my IC chips I process. Get these gold pins. I may snip all these transistors. It's got a lot of transistors on it. I may snip these transistors off and throw them in with my transistors because they all have little whiskers of gold in them. But yeah, I want the gold pins out of there. Another big heavy aluminum heat sink, big heavy transformer too. So I'm sure the scrapyard will buy that. I got some motors and transformers I need to take, so I'll put that with them after I get it apart. Nice big aluminum castings here for the lamp housings. I like that. More heavy duty aluminum. Plus we got this gigantic aluminum plate here. Covers pretty much the whole top of the chassis. There's a mezzanine card down here. But I'm going to have to do some more disassembly to get to it. And that may be, well, let me see if I can get these lamp housings off. I might have time to do that. Ooh, I need a tiny screwdriver to get that connector off of there, unless I can just twist it off. Yeah, I'm going to need a screwdriver. That's a big heavy... Is that aluminum or is that die-cast zinc? I don't know. It's got a few steel pins in it, alignment pins I'll have to press out. Otherwise they'll complain at the scrapyard. Yeah, so there's the UV lamp housing. You know what? I think this is die-cast zinc. I don't think this is aluminum. I really don't. But you know what? My scrapyard isn't picky. I'd have thought they would be. They don't seem to care if you mix the zinc in with the aluminum. Maybe they're just ignorant. I don't know. But it's got a couple springs in it and a few pins I need to press out. A couple of alignment screws. More aluminum down here. Here is a nice front surface mirror, and this I think is the one, yeah. That's the one we're looking at on the bottom that only goes a few degrees back and forth, and that's for selecting the light source, just like I thought. So this way it would be the UV vis, so this way it would be the UV light source, this way it would be the visible light source. Okay, so pretty good so far. Got some good stuff, but I think I'm running out of time for today. So we're going to have to leave it at that for today, and I'll come back to it tomorrow, and sometime tomorrow, because I got some early morning errands I need to do. And we'll get some more good stuff off of it, get this big aluminum plate off, and I think there's more mechanical components underneath it. Alright, till then, bye. Alright, one last thing before I pack it in for now. I was looking at these boards and I found date codes. Down here on the back of the membrane keyboard, date code 03789. So I'm thinking that's 3rd of July, 89? That's what I'm thinking. Up here on the parallel printer board, we got, what is that? 03/13/89. So that's March 13th, 89. And then on the motherboard, if it'll focus, 4/25/89. So April 25th of 89. So all this stuff's 89. So I imagine this whole thing was built in 1989. Late 80s, just like I expected. Pretty darn old. Okay, let's see if I can get a little bit more of this stuff off of here. I think what I want to do is get this big aluminum plate off the top, and then I should be able to see what's underneath and make it easier to get this board out, because there's some screws back there that need to come out underneath the plate. So you start taking it off. There's a lot of screws here, both holding the plate down and things screwed to the plate. Take this filter off first. And then we got some ground lines screwed to the plate. And some ground straps. And a whole lot of screws here. Just kind of itching to know what's underneath this plate. Nice big piece of aluminum too. Oh, of course, that's not all. Let's see, what have I missed? Slide every single blank plate over here on the expansion ports screwed to it. Oh, missed one right in the middle. And then what's up with this? That doesn't really matter, does it? Looks like I missed something over on the other side too. No? I guess it just lifts up. Got some wires. And another ground strap. That is a big chunk of aluminum right there. Nice. Okay, add that to my growing collection. Oh, need to pull a few screws out of it yet before I take it to the scrap yard, but still a nice piece of aluminum. Okay. Alright, got some optics here. Got another front surface mirror, looks like concave. This mirror is concave, it's front surface. Another concave front surface mirror over here. Some kind of window here. It's grungy. That might be the reason it wouldn't calibrate too. Oh, look at that. I know what that is. That's a filter wheel with little filters in it. Okay. And we got another concave front surface mirror. Looks like a flat front surface mirror. And a window. Got the sample holder. The light goes to the sample holder, bounces off. It's like maybe is that a sensor back there? That may not be a mirror. That may be a sensor. Let me take this plate off and let's see what's behind it. I'll bet that's a sensor. More aluminum. Oh my goodness, yes. Got some serious electronics in here. So, how does this come off? Oh, I see. I think. So yeah, sensors right there. Looks like maybe something as simple as possibly a photoresistor. I don't know. Maybe a photodiode. Looks like it's just got two terminals coming through the board. Oh, I might need to find a nut driver to get those off. You can tell this thing's old because all the hardware is Imperial. 1/4-inch nuts here. Let's see here. Oh yeah. That's photodiode. That's a big photodiode. And it looks like it's set in gold. Nice. Very nice. Okay. So that's interesting. So that's the detector. The light over here, this determines which light source is used. Shines through here, little hole over here, over off of this mirror here, through a window here, which is kind of dirty, off of this mirror over here, which seems like it ought to move, through a window over here, through this filter wheel, off this mirror, out through this window, through the sample, and into the detector. And that's how it all worked. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so here's our riser card with fingers and lots of gold contacts in there. Hope those gold contacts are showing up. They didn't spare the gold on this thing. That's nice. Okay. Plus we got some more aluminum. So let me get this last power board out of here. Oh, lots of wires. So I'm tempted to just cut all these wires, but I want to have a look at this transformer first before I do that, just on the off chance I may be able to reuse it for something. If I'm just going to scrap it out, I wouldn't care, but you never know. I build a lot of stuff. And once in a while I need a good transformer. But that's a 120 volt fan considering where it's hooked up here. Okay, so this board really doesn't have anything of interest to me on it except for the gold pins here. What is that? Is that a circuit breaker? Doesn't really say whether that's obviously whether that's a circuit breaker or not, but I'll bet it is. Still, I don't think I have a lot of use for it. So, but I will get those gold pins off this board. Wow, there are a lot of taps on this transformer. My goodness. It's produced a lot of different voltages. You could have a lot of input voltages too. I imagine for use in US, Europe, wherever. You get this transformer out of here. Well, it is helpfully totally unlabeled, so it's not going to tell me what all its outputs are. I probably don't have the patience to try and buzz it out with an ohm meter or a voltmeter. I guess it'll just go on the motor and transformer pile. Heavy though. Let's see, got the fan here. Fan really doesn't say anything useful on it either. Got a patent number, manufacturer, Rotron. Didn't say anything about voltage, but I would just be willing to bet that's a 120 volt fan. Big heavy one too. It's the holy grail of fandom. It's got an aluminum housing. No wonder it's so heavy. Well, you don't get many of those these days. They're usually plastic. Built like a tank though. Oh, here we go. Yep. 115 volts, 50-60 hertz. It might be worth holding on to. Have a cooling fan that I don't need to hook up to a DC power supply might come in handy. That might be useful for a future project. Too bad I don't have about 50 of them though. They're very heavy. Make a lot of money at the scrapyard, but one I'll hang on to for now. Might come in handy. Alright, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. There's not much left. Wires and a few optical components. As someone who designs and builds telescopes, I can appreciate all of the optics that went into this thing. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot of it that I can reuse for my projects. Let me pull this filter wheel out and have a look at it. Not knowing the focal length of these concave mirrors, as I can measure that. That's fairly easy actually, to set up a jig to measure the focal length of the mirror. But still, they're pretty small. Couldn't make a decent telescope out of them. Aha! So here's the filter wheel. Looks like we've got one blank. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 filters, and 1, 2, 3, 4 holes that are covered with, looks like copper foil. Interesting. Okay, so when it's changing, see, I think I said I calibrated this thing. I used to have to wait for it to change frequency ranges when I was calibrating it, so what it must have done when it was changing ranges was rotating a different filter wheel into the light path. Okay. Let's see. This doesn't really say much about like its speed or anything on this motor, but it's pretty slow though. I wonder how it got feedback as to where it was. Don't know. Oh. Maybe it just looks for maximum output with the blank opening. Don't know. I don't see any sort of feedback mechanism. But it had to know what filter it was looking through somehow. Okay. Let's see, what else is anything that I want out of here. Let me take this filter or this sample holder out. It looks like it's on nice precision rails. get that in there. So here's the sample holder for the cuvette, and it's on these rails, slides back and forth. Very nice. Now that's a mechanism I might have a use for. Maybe I could make a focuser or something out of that. I'll set that aside. I'm such a pack rat. Oh, my wife could tell you, I am such a pack rat. I save stuff just in case I might someday have a use for it. It piles up. But at least it's not very big. Save that for now. Okay, so all the rest of this stuff, I don't know. Look at the... Let's see here. Just checking to see if the camera's still running, because sooner or later it'll hit its time limit and stop. Ah! I see a little motor down there. Okay, I see the motor now that moves that. Just a little tiny motor. Don't really need it. And then, I don't know what all this is. I suppose I take these screws out. Maybe, maybe not. Not sure how to get that out of there. Well, these screws got to be holding something. Let me take them out and see what happens. So I don't know where the screws are that are holding this thing in. They look like they come down from the top, but there's nothing here. Interesting. Well, is there anything here I actually want? This might all just go out with the trash and the recycling. I think I may have got all the good stuff. Yeah, these little concave mirrors are interesting, but I don't know if they're of any actual use to me. Holding this plate on. What's underneath it? That's got the motor underneath it. I don't know what's holding that on. I guess it's just friction. Yeah. Friction fit. Interesting. Alright. Yeah, I'm not going to go to the trouble of getting that little motor out of there. It's like something for a little tiny RC car or something. But I am still interested in this mechanism over here. But I don't see how to get it out. Huh. Oh, you know what? Maybe if I take this mirror out, maybe that's what's holding the mechanism in. Maybe. I'll give that a try, just to see what's in there. Out of curiosity, more than expectation of finding something valuable. Okay, I went and grabbed my Allen wrenches. So hopefully I can get this mirror holder assembly out of here, and we'll see what's underneath it. Maybe a bolt or something that's holding, or a nut that's holding that lower assembly in, because I don't see anything else up here that could be holding it in, really. Oh, okay, I took those screws out, and that doesn't seem to have made any big difference at all. The mirror is still tight in there. You know what? Those screws were probably for adjusting the tilt of the mirror, not for taking it out. I'll bet you that's what they were for. Yep. So how does one take it out? Maybe like this. Brute force. You know what? I think I just broke it. Yeah, I broke the linkage down here. That's why it's spinning so free. But oh, there's a screw. There's another screw. Okay. Whoops. Alright. There may be a way to get this whole thing out, but I don't know. I really don't know that it's worth the trouble. I think I've got everything of value off of this. So, again, I'm running out of time. I don't see anything else in here that I really, really, really want. So I'll take this little fitting. Fittings like this come in handy. That was probably to drain the cooling liquid out of the unit there. On the higher end models, it actually had the cooling pump, not this one. So, okay, I guess that's it. So, let me clean up this mess, and we'll go through all the good stuff I got off of it. All right, so here we are. Here's all the stuff I am keeping out of the spectrophotometer. Got a lot of good stuff here, and some that's just, yeah, okay, but, you know, don't want to throw it out. So we'll start with, right here, this deuterium light source. I need to look this up again and see what they're currently selling for. Last time I checked, they were going for a lot of money. So that's probably the most valuable thing here. It's probably more valuable than the rest of this stuff put together. I just had to finish the job. I couldn't leave it half done, so I went and I got all the mirrors out of it. It took me a while to figure out how some of these went in. These rotating mirrors sit in bearing housings that were pressed into the plastic base. You get ball bearings in there. So that's kind of interesting. And this mirror here is actually, I don't know if it's going to show up. I'll probably have to give you a demonstration of this later. This is not just a mirror, it's also a diffraction grating. And it creates a prism effect when I put it out in the sun. Yeah, so here's that diffraction grating mirror. See how it creates a spectrum? It's out in the sunlight there. And I think this is the part that actually went bad in it, because the coating I can see on it is pretty well shot. So this got a milky, foggy look to the coating on it, and I think that's probably why the unit would not recalibrate. So this is what creates, you know, the spectrum. The light from one of the light sources hits it, gets broken up into like a rainbow spectrum, and it gets reflected off all these other mirrors out to the sample holder. But on the way, it passes through this little tiny piece of steel with a precision cut laser slit in it, which I doubt is showing up, and that's just going to isolate a tiny part of the spectrum. And it would go through this filter wheel, and I figured out how the filter wheel indexes. These are stepper motors. Both of these are stepper motors. The stepper motor drove this diffraction grating mirror to have it at just the right angle, and a stepper motor to drive the filter wheel. So it probably turned until it got to the empty slot and saw a big peak on the reading, and said, okay, I'm at the empty slot, and then it knew how to turn to get to any of the other slots. Since there's no feedback on this, it wouldn't know exactly where it was. So since it's a stepper motor, it can say, okay, I'm at the empty slot, turn, I don't know, 50 steps to get to the blue filter or whatever. So that's how it would work. So I got all these optics, probably not going to do anything with them, but you know, I just wanted to see how the heck they were held in there because it was driving me crazy. I couldn't get them out and I couldn't see any visible screws, and it's like, oh, pressed in. Well, that makes sense. With a little glue. Alright, got some die-cast zinc pieces here from the lamp housings. Got a lot of stuff with gold plating on it. Here, 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 up here, over here, here. Gold pins in here, lots of gold pins in here. Got gold pins here, over there, gold fingers, gold plating in here, gold all through here. Gold inside the EPROMs. And you know what, this PROM chip right here, this is a ceramic chip, so I'm sure it's probably got gold in it too. It's from the same company, same era. I'll bet the die is held in with gold just like the EPROM chips are. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. This is a ceramic chip. Some of these others are ceramic chips. The processor, 8085, are both plastic. I will look them up and see what working examples of these old processors are selling for. They might be worth scrapping out, keeping. Now I also noticed, get it out, the processor is sitting on some sort of riser board. These almost look like, inductors, but I'm not sure they are. And the riser board has gold pins on it. So I can get the processor out, maybe resell it, maybe not, depending on what it's going for, and keep the riser board with the gold pins in it. So that's nice. Got a big aluminum heat sink over here. Big aluminum heat sink over here I'm going to take off. There's some gold pins in here I want to get, some more IC chips, lots of transistors on this power supply. I'm going to steal those. And then I got a couple of big transformers for the scrapyard. I got a 120 volt fan built like a tank, which I can use for cooling some project or other down the road. I got some nice beefy ground straps, which will come in handy for various electrical projects down the road. I'm going to keep those. And I got this little doohickey here that slides back and forth, which I think I can make like a focusing unit out of. I might have to 3D print some parts for it, but I think that could become a nice focuser. I'm going to keep that for now. Don't tell my wife I'm pack ratting all this stuff. Hope she doesn't watch this video. So, not a bad little haul. I don't think I'm going to keep the stepper motors because, well, I got no idea, you know, how many steps per revolution there are. There's some gearboxes on here. This one here is 320:1 ratio. Wow. I really don't think I have a use for that. Boy, I wonder. One step probably didn't move that mirror very far. So, yeah, I got pretty much the same thing here. Filter wheel. The filters are in really crummy shape. That's probably another reason why this thing would not calibrate. The filters were bad. So I don't think I have any use for the filter wheel. I don't think I have any use for the stepper motors or the gearboxes. I'll take them off and throw them in with all the other motors and transformers and then go to the scrapyard. Now normally in these videos I would show you how I depopulate this stuff in the kiln and all of the parts afterwards. Well, that's going to happen at some point. All this stuff's going to go through the kiln. I'm going to depopulate it, get all the gold-plated connectors, all the IC chips, whatnot. Not going to happen in this video because my kilns are actually in use doing what I bought them for, and I'm doing some glass casting right now, and they're going to be in use for the foreseeable future. So this stuff's just going to have to hang out until the kilns are free, and I could set one of them up for depopulating boards. But that's pretty much what I want. I want the gold, I want the chips, I want the transistors, you know, so I'll get all that stuff off of these boards. So, whew, that was kind of a marathon scrap out session for one piece of equipment. There was a lot there, and I've still got, oh, I've probably got 20 pounds of plastic case that needs to go out with the recycling. I hope the guys don't give me any crap about that. Anyway, well, that's all there is to it. thanks for watching. I hope you found this video interesting, educational, informative, killed some time during COVID lockdown, whatever. Give the video a thumbs up, give it a like. Subscribe to see future videos. They're coming fast and furious lately. I was just talking to one of my clients and gonna give me another big pile of stuff soon that I'll need to tear apart. So subscribe to see future videos. Press the little bell icon to get informed when they're available. And thanks for watching. Have a good day. See you later.